Hi guys, so let me put you guys through on how to perform a simple data entry task using the Google Sheet. Okay, so you could either go to your browser straight and type data spreadsheet, or you go to your Google app and select the spreadsheet. Okay, so here you could either use any of the templates existing, or you go over to the blank sheet and start from the beginning to create yours. So me, I'm going to start from beginning to create my own spreadsheet. Okay, so the first thing we have to do here once we're on the page is to rename the spreadsheet. If you look over the cursor, you will see where on titled spreadsheet, you have to name the spreadsheet Prime Fit Weekly Orders Tracker December stroke January. Okay, so now we have to move over to the untitled spreadsheet and rename it. So the name here is Prime Fit Weekly Order Tracker December stroke January. So once we are done naming the title, the first thing on our list is to set up the columns. Okay, so the first one there is order ID, the next customer name, product ordered, quantity, order status, and amount. So the first thing we have to input first is order ID. Okay, so we name it order ID. Once we're done with the first one, we would move over to the second column. So what we have on the second column is customer name. So when we are done with the second column, if you notice, it exceeded the boundary for the B. So we'll go over to the cursor, tap and extend it. Okay, so we extend it to fit into the customer name. So once we are done with that, we'll move over to the C column. So on the C column, after the customer's name, we have the product ordered. This exceeded 2, so we have to still adjust it to fit into the C column properly. So once we are done adjusting, we'll move over to the D column. Okay, so on the D column we have quantity. So once we're done filling in the D column, which is quantity, we'll set it aside and move over to the next column. On the next column we have order status. Okay, we have order status. Once we are done filling in the order status, we move into the next column. We also adjust, if not fitting, we adjust the F column. We adjust the E column and move over to the F column. So once we're on the F column, we input amount. So the last one, we have to put the total summation. Okay, so we input the total summation. So the next thing they told us to do is make all the headers bold. That's what we just input there. Make it bold. So we have to tap and select all the headers. Once we tap and select all the headers, we'll move over to background color. First of all, make it bold. So once we tap and make it bold, we'll move over to the background color and select the shade of blue we want to use. Okay, so once we tap, we select the background blue color we want, and after that we also select the alphabets that will match the background color, because if you notice from here, the background color, the alphabet color is black, so we need to use white to make it more visible. Okay, so now from the look of the typing, the white color fits more perfect. Okay, so the next thing we have to do is to do the next task that was instructed, and on the next task we're told to impute pending, shipped, delivered, cancel under the order status. So what we have to do, we'll go over to under the order status, tap and select. Okay, so when you move over to the order status, you tap select, then you go to the insert icon. Once you tap the insert icon, select the drop down. Okay, once you select the drop down, you notice the option 1 and option 2, so you fill in with what you were asked to fill in. Okay, so the first one on our list is pending. Okay, so we'll type in pending. Okay, so we'll type in pending. So when we're done typing in the pending, for the second one we'll select shipped. So when we type in the pending, you have to select a specified color to make it easy for you to access. Okay, so when we tap the pending, we select green color. So the next one on our list is shipped, so we type in shipped. So when you type in shipped to, you also select a background color. So all this is more like for easy identification, okay? So we select yellow for this. The third one, we have delivered. Okay, we have delivered. When we're done typing the delivered, we select a specified color too. Okay, so we select light or dark purple. So let's go with purple, dark purple. Okay, so we'll go for adding option because we still have more options to add. So the last one on the list is cancelled. So when we select cancel, we go for red, then we'll select the red color, and that is that for the list under the other status. Okay, so once we are done selecting, we tap allow multiple selection, then we close it down. Okay, so under the other status, when we tapped the arrow under it, we notice what we feed in is already existing. Okay, so what we have to do next is to drag it down to the limit of what we are typing down. Okay, so once you drag it down to the limit, the extension of the other columns have the existing imputed words like the pending, shipped, delivered, and cancel is already inserted into the row columns. Okay, so that is the work of the dropping down. It goes down all the way instead of you to be manually imputing pending, shipped, order, pending, shipped, order. No, once you drag it down from the underneath to the limit of what we're typing in, it has the extension down to that level. Okay, so let's also perform a drop down task under the order ID. So we go over to the insert, select the drop down. So once we select the drop down, we selecting just two words for the order ID. We have yes and no. So once we select the yes, we'll go over to pick the color of our choice. Okay, so once we pick the yes, we select the color of our choice. We could either select any of the existing color or would customize our own color. Okay, so for this particular one, we'll be selecting a lemon green selection. Okay, so the next one will select no option. Okay, so once we select and type in the no option, we'll go over to the color button and select the color of our choice. We could either select any of the color or customize color. Okay, so here let's go with the light pink. Okay, so once we're done with the selection, we tap the allow multiple selection button, then we select done. Okay, so for confirmation, once we tap the arrow, we'll see the yes and no option. So the same thing we did for other status column, we'll drag the order ID down to fill up the yes and no down to the row column of how many specified cells we are working with. So once you tap, you see the yes and no option is already occurring down the rows. Okay, so the next thing we have to do is to go over and fill up the remaining blank columns. So the first thing we have to do is to fill up the customer's name. So the first name on the list, we have Princess. We have Princess, so you type in Princess. So randomly we want to fill up the names. We have Daisy. So the next one we have Linda. So the next one we have Ifoma. Okay, so the next one on the column we have Emeka. Okay, so once we're done filling in Emeka, we'll have the next one on the column we have Vivian. Okay, so after typing Vivian, the next one on the column we have Gabriel. So once we type in Gabriel, we have the next one Blessing. Okay, so we have the next one Blessing. So once we're done typing in Blessing, the next one on the column is Shoma. So when we're done typing in Shoma, the next one on the column we have Amaka. So once we are done typing in the names, we'll go over to the next column, which is the product ordered. Okay, so the first one on the list of the product ordered, we have Jean. So after Jean, the next one we have bags. So after typing in the bags, the next one we have on the column is snacks. So after typing the snacks, the next one we have on the column is rubber. So after typing the rubber, the next order we have on the next column is rice. So we type in the rice. After that, we'll go over to the next column and type in shirts. So after the shirts, the next word we have on the column, the next column is cheese. When we're done typing in the cheese, the next word we have on the next column is tops. So after the tops, the next word we have on the next column is fruits. So after typing the fruit, the next word we have on the next column is dodo. So once we're done typing all this, we'll move over to the next one, which is the quantity. So randomly we also input the quantity, but when we're given a specified input, we also follow the instruction. Okay, so the first one we inputted is 5, the next one is 10, the next one is 5, the next one is 8. So after 8, the next one we have is 5. After 5, the next one is 6. After 6, the next one is 2. After 2, the next one is 7. After 7, the next one we'll have is 8. After 8, the last one we have on the list is 10. So once we're done imputing this, we quickly go over to the next column, which is the amount. So the first amount we have on the list is 500. So when we're done with that, we'll move over to the next one. We have 1000. Okay, so the next column we have 300. So the next column again we have 400. The next column we have 500. The next column we have 200. The next column we have 300. The next column we have 200. The second before the last we have 500. Then the last one we have 100. Okay, so we quickly input all these to match. So the last one we have 100. So when we are done imputing all these figures in the amount, we go over to select the yes or no options under the order ID. Okay, so now the princess order, yes, of course we saw Jane option, so we'll do the option. So from the list, from what we have, all the customer names made an order. Okay, so the selection here will be yes. I didn't mean on the product order we did not have any existing order, we could select option of no. But from the list, all the customers named here purchased a particular item. Okay, so automatically on the order ID we are having yes option throughout. Okay, so we'll select the yes option for all the listed customers name column under the order ID. Okay, so once we're done select the yes option, we'll go over to the order status to also select a particular action that happened on the order status. Okay, so under the order status, the first selection princess order is still pending, so we select pending option. Okay, so for the second one we have Adeze, so we look at the option. For Adeze we have delivered, so we select the delivered option. Okay, so after Adeze we have Linda, so Linda we have delivered, so we select the delivered option. So for Ifoma we have shipped, for Emeka we have delivered, for Vivian we have pending, for Gabriel we have delivered, for Blessing we have pending, for Shoma we have shipped, for Amaka lastly we have delivered. So that is that we select all the specified order status for all the customer's name. Okay, so once we are done with the selection, we head over to the total button to perform the total action. Okay, so on the total column, what we are filling in is simply the amount times the quantity. Okay, so the first one on the column of the amount is 500 times quantity, which is 5. So we don't just have to manually input that. Okay, so once we type equal to sign, it will automatically bring out the multiplication for us. So with what we have, if we're okay with that, we press the enter button. Okay, so when we press the enter button, the answer we get is 2500. So if you use your calculator to times 500 with the quantity of 5, you will see 25 is your answer. Okay, so what the good thing about the Google spreadsheet is that it has all the answers in your recordings. Okay, so once you type, maybe you type a similar wordings for it, it will automatically give you the answer. Okay, so now at this point we don't have to manually impute all the multiplication for each of the lines. Okay, the Google spreadsheet makes it so easy for us to work on. Okay, so we come under the 25 and drag down to the point of our to the point of our last option we have on the column. Okay, so once we drag it down, all the answers for the multiplication for the F and D column comes up automatically. Okay, so we don't have to manually be doing 500 times 5, 1000 times 10, all that. Nana. So once you drag it down, the answer comes up immediately. So once you use your calculator to still confirm, it gives you the exact option answer. Okay, so what we have to do next is to total all the summation on the total column. Okay, so what we have to do is to type total and write equal to. Once we type equal to sign, it will bring out all the summation for the total for us. So let's go there. So at this point, you quickly type in your total and go over to the right side, which is the under the total button. You just type in equal to. Once you type in equal to, automatically a sum total of G2 to G11 will come out. What it simply means is addition from the 2,500 to the last number. Okay, so this is the sum total. Even if you use your calculator to sum it up, it will still give you that exact total. So from the look of it, the spreadsheet have already given you clue of what you are looking for. Once you press enter, you will get your total. Okay, so the total we have here is 27,900. So what we'll have to do next is to highlight the total row. Okay, once we highlight the total row, we move over to the color option and change the color to light yellow. Okay, this is also part of the task we are assigned to do. So once we select the color light yellow, so what we'll have to do again is to highlight the rows and columns where we already performed the task, and change the background color. So we'll move over to background color and select color of our choice. I would be working with light blue. Okay, so I selected the light blue. I noticed it automatically even changed my first heading color, so I will still move over to the color background and change the first color heading. Okay, so I will quickly highlight the first initials of the subheading, okay, where we have the ordered ID customer name, and change the color to dark blue to differentiate it from the background blue color. Okay, so after that we go over to the share button. Okay, so once we tap the share button, we would have the options of restricted, and also when you tap the restricted, you will have the two option, anyone with the link. Okay, so we select anyone with the link. So we still have other options of adding people, groups, spaces, and calendar events. Okay, so if we have any of the options, we could also type it in, then we copy the link, then we are done. Okay, so once we tap the done, automatically we are done with this event. So at this point, you can screenshot this work when you are done with the task, because it adds to your portfolio. Okay, thank you very much.